whatever you got to do in order to generate some interest in this game, so you can get another shot at the game, because you owe us at least another game, at least one more.
Bandai Namco is looking to increase the licensing opportunities for their IPs, and they released a list of games that they would like to have, licensed out. In Tekken and Soul Calibur were included. In Tekken was actually one of the games in their top 9 games that they said we really want to push these games out. And they said they're doing this because we here at the corporation Bandai Namco Entertainment wish to use intellectual properties we have created through games for licensing purposes to show off their appeal in other areas, to further deepen the connections with fans that fans have with them. So basically they're saying we're trying to get our characters out there, so the next time we release a game, people are like, ooh, that's that dude. That's that dude in that game. Let me go ahead and buy it. So
Oh boy.
basically, it's good to hear them actually say anything about Soul Calibur at this point. So they're basically saying that we want to get that IP out there. So basically, that's kind of saying there might be hope for the future that we'll get another Soul Calibur. But just focusing on this, what do you guys think about this? And what would y'all like to see Tekken and Soul Calibur IPs, go off? And how would you like to see license out or Bandai Namco handle that? Starting with you, Mr. Gamer.
So in terms of like the IPs for these games, it kind of first thing it takes me back to is if they're meaning like branching out. I remember back in the day you had Nina had her own game. What was the game called?
Death by Degrees.
Death by Degrees. You had that, which was terrible. You had they did the Devil Within mode, which was in a Tekken game, but I feel like that was kind of like branched off, like similar to Death by Degrees. We've had
kind of like Tekken Force mode.
Yeah, yep, that's what it was. We've had like shows and things of that nature. Now as far as Soul Calibur done the same thing. They branched off with some stuff. They had with Lost Swords. Most of the spinoff games were terrible. I mean, at this point, Soul Calibur just need to bring a good Soul Calibur game back. That's the first thing before we do anything with Soul Calibur. We need a new Soul Calibur game that comes out and does well. Because I'm kind of tired of Soul Calibur being the little small brother to Tekken, which I feel at one point like it wasn't. I feel like at one point it was like either better on
a whole separate huge thing.
Yeah, like Soul Edge, Soul Calibur was phenomenal. Soul Calibur 2 was great. I feel like at that point I was definitely.
Well, you better say phenomenal. What you mean?
I mean, yeah, phenomenal. It was definitely one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Specifically the GameCube version. Shout out to my boy Link. Then they had after that Soul Calibur 3, which wasn't as well received, but yeah, I'm just kind of tired of it being the second fiddle. But I mean, this list has some stuff on there I didn't even recognize some of those things. They mentioned, I had it pulled up, Taiko no Taijutsu. I don't even know what that is. Idol Master.
That's like the rhythm drum game, I think, where you have like the two stick and you actually.
Okay. Katamari. I hadn't seen Katamari in a while. This
Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, they had a good list on there of all these different games that they wish for to get out there.
Yeah, I think me personally, they need to focus on Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur needs to be focused on. They got other stuff on this list like Pac-Man. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, Pac-Man is definitely a legendary Namco title, and I wouldn't mind seeing a modern Pac-Man game. I mean, we've seen in terms of fighting games, we've seen Pac-Man in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. He's in Smash Brothers.
Right.
I wonder will they ever put him in Tekken? That's a good question. Will they ever put Pac-Man in Tekken?
Please stop.
And now this is interesting. The Tales of, I've always wanted a Tales of fighting game. If y'all ever played those RPGs, to me, their fighting, the battle system is like would be perfect for putting those characters in a fighting game. Tales of Symphonia, my favorite one of all time, one of my favorite RPGs of all time. I don't think he might have been in a Soul Calibur game, like the PSP one, I think. But I think it's about time for Namco to do an actual fighting game of that series and hopefully give it a better treatment than what they're doing for Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, I personally just looking at this list, the only thing that really spoke to me was like, give some love to Soul Calibur. It's just time. Soul Calibur 7 is time. And please make I'm just tired of it just always coming out and somehow it just gets screwed for something like last time 6, the pandemic, and Tekken 7 just shot on past it and it just went off and faded off into obscurity. So I just want to see a new Soul Calibur done well, no matter what they do, new fighting game or an adventure game or whatever. So Soul Calibur 7, please.
I just want to say first before he goes, my bad, Devin. I didn't mean to call you a boy. I don't get slapped. My bad.
I mean, I
would respectfully.
I didn't. No harm, no foul.
But your turn, E.
So it's funny that like they actually were talking about this because they've actually done something like. So for my mind first went to like the possibility of doing something along the lines of putting them in like Fortnite or something like that, because you know that would be some kind of insanity,
Fortnite
right?
would be blasphemous.
Yeah,
so
like I mean,
in Fortnite, so anything's possible,
right? I mean, if you want to get your character out there, I mean, to a big group of people, that's a good way to do it. And then I was like, oh man, what if they start doing like McDonald's commercials with like Nightmare or something, you know? But you know, it's funny because I remember I used to play a mobile game called Exos Heroes. And one of the they had like a promotion thing where they actually had it so you could get Yuri from Tales of Vesperia in that game. You could actually do the whole gotcha game thing. You could actually get Yuri. I think you could get Yuri and I think Estelle, but I don't think I got Estelle. I got Yuri though, which is cool. You know, I mean, like I don't think there's any way that you can necessarily not profit from something like that. I mean, I remember they had the whole King of Fighters All-Stars thing where they had like the WWE crossover and stuff, you know, a little cross promotion with that. So maybe, you know, like Namco could benefit from doing something like that. I think like some of the properties on here, like Idolmaster, I think like that's a game that I think like not a whole lot of people know about. Well, and it's some people who do probably don't talk about it, but you know, that is definitely a game I could see people like them doing cross promotion on with like other franchises and stuff. But yeah, Soul Calibur, I would really love to see Soul Calibur in other places, more Soul Calibur characters making the jump to other games. You know, I wouldn't like I'm playing what is it, Honkai Star Rail. I wouldn't mind seeing a crossover between Soul Calibur and Honkai Star Rail. You just have like Siegfried and Nightmare and even Astaroth like on your team or something like that would be really cool. I think like as long as it's tastefully done. What'd you say?
I said just throw him in a new anime issue. Put him in Tsurugi in it.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, why not? Like, I mean, why not, bro? Like that would be really cool. It's just to have like just to spice things up a little bit, get your characters in other games. Like you said, like, you know, it's like, oh, that dude from that game, I'm gonna go buy that game. Why not? You know, like I think that would be really, really cool. I'd actually really like that. So, you know, like whatever gets us closer to a Soul Calibur 7, because the game deserves it. We deserve it as fans. So let's get us a Soul Calibur 7. Let's make this McDonald's crossover happen, guys. What do you say, huh?
You know, I'm one of them old school cats. You know, kayfabe is still real to me, dang it. So, you know, when I see certain stuff like, you know, Nightmare, let's just say Nightmare with Fortnite, and you see him doing a little goofy dance, all the kids do, my nostrils flare in disgust. Like, that character is a character that should always be respected. He should always maintain his integrity. Like, it's like putting Geese Howard in Fortnite and having him doing like silly dances and stuff. Like, no, Geese Howard don't do that. He don't do that. So, you know, I'm kind of like one of them people that just like, if we gonna do crossovers, like it just gotta make sense. You just can't be throwing them in anything. SNK is a company that we've seen that's done like has done like where they try to push their characters and license their characters out a lot. I mean, Terry Bogard is based on everything but Frosted Flakes at this point. So I mean, they've done a pretty good job of putting him putting him out there in different stuff. We've seen them put him in like tons of different fighting games. So, you know, they keep him within that same realm. I mean, he's in Fighting EX Layer, he's in Smash Brothers. I mean, I'm surprised he ain't in everybody throwing shots at this game. I'm surprised he ain't in Nick All-Star, you know. So to me, it just kind of just gotta make sense. Like I said, having Mitsurugi and Animishu, that'd be cool. Having what Nightmare, I mean, having a Nightmare or Astaroth as like a boss in a new Devil May Cry or something like that would be great. You know, stuff like just stuff that makes sense. It keeps the integrity of the character, and then when you see them in that other game, it makes you want to play them because he was that cool evil boss in that game, so I know he's a cool evil person in this game. Like, it just gotta make sense to me. So, and with Soul Calibur, I mean, we just need another new Soul Calibur because it's hard for me. Like, let's just say they cross over in a different fighting game. It's hard for me to see what fighting game they would do that in, besides like Tekken, like for a lot of their characters. I mean, maybe somebody could say something different, but I think we just need a new, respectable, put a lot of effort and budget towards Soul Calibur game
Grand Blue.
because you could put in Grand Blue. So I mean, we just need another new Soul Calibur. But for them to do this, I mean, you can basically tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to make that money, man. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to see their characters and be like, oh my goodness, like that's where he's from. He's from Soul Calibur. Let me buy Soul Calibur. I mean, we've kind of seen like, you know, Tekken 5 and Tekken 7 was some of the most best-selling fighting, one of the top 10 best-selling fighting games of all time. They're not trying to go backwards. So they're trying to get it as in front of many eyes as possible. So that's what the company is doing. You know, they have to put it in their message that like we just want to make sure that all our characters are loved amongst all the you know, they say that it's about profit loss margin. So anybody else got anything there?
You know, after thinking about this, I feel like because I mean they had Hanmaru in Soul Calibur 6, which was definitely out of left field. He makes sense in that game, but just a SNK character going to a Soul Calibur game was kind of interesting. They even had a For Honor character in
Samurai Showdown.
Samurai Showdown, which was very out of left field from a Ubisoft property. So yeah, I think
It was good too.
I think that things like that make the most sense. Where like if we had a good Dissidia game, I want a Final Fantasy fighting game so bad, like a traditional good one, like like a Marvel style or like a 1v1. But I feel like it's gonna get an impact treatment. It's gonna get just dogged on. So, but that would be great if we actually had a Final Fantasy fighting game, or if Dissidia was still around. That Soul Calibur characters would be a great addition to put in those games as guest characters. You had I just thought of something. This would make sense if you could pull a Shimigami Tensei 2, and you could put somebody from Soul Calibur into a Tails game. You know, as a boss or either as a playable character, you fight them and you can play with them. Like put Killick in there or Maxi or something. I feel like some of those characters could fit well into a Tails game. You can make it like, oh, there's this. You run around Tails like a new Tails game, and it's like, oh, there's this legend of this legendary weapon master that's from faraway lands, and you can possibly, you know, if you go here, you might meet him. If you do, you got to fight him, and you got to fight all different styles of his weapons, and then if you beat him, you get to play with him, or he gets you like a weapon or something like that. That would be really cool, like in this new Tails game, if that was a possibility. Even the new Pac-Man game, which I don't know if y'all are privy to, but a game called Shadow Labyrinth. They're flipping Pac-Man on his head and making it like a dark horror type game. You could put Astroth in there or something like that. Put some crazy stuff in there. So yeah, I think there's an opportunity to like show off what Namco has in terms of the IPs. They have a lot of IPs. I mean, they even have older games that they could dig from. Dig Dug. That was a racing game they have. I can't remember the name of it. There's a lot. Ridge Racer. which is one of my favorite games of all time. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with fighting games, but there have been a card in a fighting game. So, maybe you put that skyline in there, put it, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with E on this, that I just want to see Soul Calibur 7. I just want to see that. I just want to see one of my most beloved fighting game series get some respect, man. It just feels like that's such a game that's just so much like potential just wasted, and it's just unfortunate. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy for Tekken. Tekken is another one of my favorite fighting game franchises. Back as a kid playing Tekken 3 blew me away. Like I couldn't believe what I was experiencing at that time with gaming, and where like how far it came from like Tekken 2. So yeah, Tekken's success is definitely well deserved, but man, Soul Calibur is such a titan. And I just wish it would get like a game that really displays that. Hopefully it's not too late. The people have like, forgotten about it, or they don't care anymore. Hopefully they can like make a game that like really reignites people's interest in this game. So yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff in Namco that they have that they could do. They can do anything. At this point, they can honestly make their own Smash game. Honestly, they could, like, if there was any other company that could do that, Namco could definitely make some type of all-star fighting game, which actually would be kind of cool. And again, you could also put Soul Calibur characters in there. So
yeah, like I think like Namco definitely has all the properties necessary in order to like make like some of these crazy games, and they have like all these characters that some of them they're not even doing anything with, that are just kind of like have been shelved for so long, they got dust on them. So you might as well like trot them out and like actually get them out in front of people to gauge what the interest is. I mean, especially with like games like Soul Calibur, like, which actually aren't that old. They're not that old. I think like you were saying in the thing, like the in that event hubs thing, it's like what the last patch for Soul Calibur 6 was in 2020. So it hasn't been, I mean, it's been a little bit, but it hasn't been that long. Like, there's still time. You don't need to just let it like, rot. Soul Calibur deserves honestly speaking, like if I were to talk to Namco, I'd be like, Soul Calibur deserves a lot more respect than you gave it, like for real. And deserved a lot better chance, because like the whole thing with the what do you call that, with the world tour and everything, and how the pandemic messed that up and everything. But I feel like even in that regard, it's like you still should have like worked a little bit harder on trying to get your property out there. It just seemed like you didn't care. It made it look like you didn't care. Meanwhile, like the Tekken World Tour is taking the whole world by storm, pandemic or not. Like people are still like knee deep in Tekken, and you guys are pretending like, oh well, you know what? Well, the world tour didn't work out. Well, better luck next time. And there isn't a next time. You didn't make another attempt to do it. Didn't even bother trying to do an online kind of thing, really. Like you didn't really commit like that, So, it's the least you could do is take, like Mr. Gamerlift said, you take like Astaroth, take Astaroth, Edgemaster, whoever, and put them in like a Tales game or a Final Fantasy game or a Shimigami Tensei game, whatever you got to do in order to generate some interest in this game, so you can get another shot at the game, because you owe us at least another game, at least one more.
And please put a Final Fantasy character in it, please.
Watch.
Yeah,
this be the game they put Tifa in.
Yeah, with Soul Calibur, I mean, I think that's more it's probably more of a Bandai thing. I mean, we know Bandai is about that green. And with Soul Calibur, it's seeming like it's been going downhill. I guess some people would say since 4 would probably, you could say, has been the start of when people would say the Soul Calibur games weren't like exactly what they want to be. And kind of like losing, footing since then. I mean, I'm sure Bandai kind of looks at it like, man, we tried the world tour. It happened at a bad time. We had invested that money into games come out. I think Bandai probably is just kind of like, if it was up to Harada, I'm sure, he would keep trying. But as we've seen recently, when Harada comes out and talks, you can tell he's really all about things selling as much as they can and things advancing and things, So I think Soul Calibur just kind of found itself in a bad spot. I mean, if y'all not willing to like invest in, heavily into it, at least like, go do a crossover with somebody, make a crossover game or something like that with some Soul Calibur games, and see if the spark could come back, and then that would probably put y'all in a position where it's like, okay, we'll go ahead and invest into another Soul Calibur, see how it goes. Something, I mean, this the IP thing is a good start and stuff like that, but really you're just probably gonna be helping other people's stuff. Unless somebody comes and say, hey, I'll take a buy that IP and we'll make like a separate, totally different thing for it, its own separate thing. But I mean, will somebody do that with Soul Calibur? I mean, I can only see somebody doing it if it was a passion project, like some random dude at a random company, just like, man, I love Soul Calibur just as much as we did. And they got the big wigs to throw them a bag and just be like, look, we're gonna try to do something, you know. A Soul Calibur cross Final Fantasy RPG or something, throwing stuff at the wall. But yeah, so all I know is I want another Soul Calibur, and it better not die like this Bandai Namco. Y'all already on thin ice enough. It better not die like this. Like I'm with E. Y'all owe us another one. You owe us another one.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't our fault that the pandemic happened. It wasn't y'all fault. Let's just move on. It is what it
Yeah.
is. No harm, no foul. Like, let's just,
Yeah.
hey, it's a bit. So